Hey guys, I'm Billy with SpecTrain. Welcome back to the channel. For those of you that are currently subscribed, for those of you that are new, because I'm sure there's a few of you, this is not normally what I do. I'm a professional shooter and firearms instructor, but I'll explain why I'm making this video. Today I got something brand new to show you. If you're watching this when this comes out, this optic literally comes out today. This is the new Vortex Defender ST pistol red dot, which is a new optic that's coming on the market. And I decided to make this video for a few reasons. Number one, I'm friends with some of the guys at Vortex, and so they were kind enough to send me a couple of these to check out. But additionally, I've been up to Vortex several times the last couple of years, did a class with their instructors and so on and so forth. And so I've had the opportunity to actually know about this optic for quite a few years. I've shot it several times over the past few years, able to kind of track the progression as it came to be, and kind of have an understanding of what they're trying to pull off with it. And also have some more kind of inside information on kind of the reputation of the optic, how it's done. And there's a lot of good shooters that have been shooting this now for a number of years that I have some information from. And additionally, because I'm not a reviewer, there's some things about this optic that I'm probably going to tell you that frankly Vortex probably preferred that I didn't. But I care more about my students and providing good information for you guys. And so that's why I'm making this video, and I hope it's helpful. And with that said, let's get into it. All right, guys, so I've had this particular optic for about a month now, and I've put about 5,000 rounds through it. And so I've had some good time behind the optic, and I had overall very, very favorable impressions. I was actually planning on filming this video a couple days ago with pretty much all favorable impressions, and then a wrench was unfortunately thrown into the system. So I literally went to the range, was doing some shooting with it, everything was going great. I put the gun back in my pants, go home, get up the next morning, and unfortunately, this is the first optic that I was sent, and hopefully you guys can kind of see what's up there, right? As we look through that window, there is a nice crack now in the glass in that bottom right-hand corner right there, or bottom left-hand, I suppose, for you guys. But regardless, nice little crack in the glass. And I have absolutely no explanation for this. I'll leave all the drop testing and impact testing up to Aaron Cowan. That is not what I do. I did 0 drops on this optic. I didn't do any aggressive racking of it off of barricades or anything like that. Again, it was totally fine one day. I put it back in my pants, went home, took it back out, and it seemed to be like that as far as I can tell. And so I really have no explanation for it. With that said, I'm still cautiously optimistic about the optic. This is kind of my main squeeze, this optic right here, right? This is the Trijicon SRO. This is the one that I've been using now for years, and it runs great. I love these. With that said, I got one of the very first ones that were off the line, put about 3,000 rounds through it, went to go shoot a match, happened to be an all-classifier match, something I was really trying to do well on. I get to the match, pull my gun out, no dot. Literally pulled the gun out of my pants, and there's no dot. This is the gun that I was carrying as well. And the electronics were just dead. There was nothing that could be done for it. I sent it back to Trijicon, of course, got a new one. Since then, I've got maybe a total of, I got some of them up on the wall. I've got maybe 8 SROs total that I've been running with tens and tens of thousands of rounds for those optics. Never had a single problem since then. So do I think because I had that one SRO die that it's an unreliable optic? No. I don't, even though it was a catastrophic failure. This, by the way, is not a catastrophic failure. I'll throw up a picture. The 0 shifted marginally low into the right, but I actually filmed the last video on this channel is the jerk the trigger drill video, and I filmed that entire video. I don't think anybody noticed, but with this optic, with a crack in the glass, and the hits were obviously pretty good. So the optic is actually still running very, very well with no major issue. So it wasn't a catastrophic failure. The point being, sometimes things just happen, and I still don't have any explanation for why my original SRO died. Trijicon is known for making very reliable electronics. And every single SRO that I've had since then has lasted well over 3,000 rounds with zero issues, never seen that issue ever since again. And, you know, folks come through my classes with SROs all the time and I don't see that problem. So sometimes things just happen. I'm hoping that is the case with this. Again, I got some buddies that I trust that have like 50,000 plus rounds on this, and they're telling me that they've actually done some pretty heavy duty testing with it, you know, footballing it against walls and so forth, and they've been very, very impressed with the reliability on this optic. So I'm hoping that that was just kind of a fluke. Again, I have zero explanation for it. I'd probably be even more disappointed in the optic if I actually had like racked it off a barricade or something and it immediately shattered, because then I would know what happened and I would know like, hey man, you got this fancy, you know, ribbing on the front that's supposed to make it good for that kind of a thing, and that's obviously not, and that'd be kind of disappointing. But in this case, it's so random. I mean, you guys can see, if I can get my camera to focus, right? Hopefully you guys can kind of see. I mean, there is not a scratch on this thing. Not a scratch. And obviously that's what happened. Now, the only other thing that happened, you may notice, is that this little rubber flap on top is missing as well. It's a little piece that's glued on. Here's what it's supposed to look like. It's supposed to be a rubber plug there. And on my original optic, that's missing. Again, I'm being told that's not supposed to happen. But does it give me some pause? For sure. Frankly, it does. But again, I'm hoping it's just a fluke. So I'm cautiously optimistic, but we'll see. With that out of the way, let's dive into the features of the optic, and I'll just kind of tell you what I like and what I don't like about the optic itself. The main thing that I look for in these optics is the window. How does the thing actually work, right? The glass quality is great. It's very clear. It doesn't have a super aggressive, you know, blue tint on it or whatever, like your Trijicon optics. That doesn't ever really bother me, but it does bother some of you guys. Some of you guys, again, like through an SRO, see kind of some magnification and so forth. I see absolutely none of that in this optic. It's very clear. It's no magnification or warping issues at all. Impressed with the glass. The main thing I look for, though, in terms of like one optic to the next, for me, is window size. Let's talk about it. Obviously, they released the CCW Defender previous to this, very small. This one is bigger, but it's not a big window, right? You know, if you guys will hopefully kind of be able to see, I'll kind of get out of the way here, or try to, and I'll see if my camera will actually, I don't think it's going to, there we go. It kind of focuses, right? This line up with the old classic RMR. Anyway, it's not significantly bigger than an RMR. And I wanted to tell you guys that. And I'm like, how do we actually do this? So I broke out the calipers and I measured, right? The RMR at the peak, at the very tallest center part of the window, was 0.693 tall, according to my measurement. This guy, they don't say anything in the literature, as far as I can tell, about their measurements of it. From what I can measure, 0.759, which means that it is 6/100ths of an inch taller than this guy, right? A little bit bigger, but not too much. I literally kind of did a test with it to just try to see if I set it on the slide backwards next to the Defender. I have to lift it up a little bit to line up the floors of the optics, but now I can kind of look through and I can see exactly how much smaller the RMR is versus the Defender ST. And if I put the dot up at the top, it's literally like the RMR is about half a dot smaller than the Defender. So it's bigger, but it's not that much bigger. By comparison, as an example, the SRO is 0.95 per my measurement, right? 0.95. So it's, you know, several tenths bigger rather. This one's only 6/100ths bigger. And so that's my one. I wish it was a little bit bigger. Why isn't it bigger? Well, it's got this, you know, big, again, kind of aggressive bezel on it. I think they were trying to make it obviously an optic that's very, very durable. If I compare that as an example to the HoloSun, this is the HoloSun, this is the other square one, this is the HoloSun 507 Comp. What you'll kind of be able to see is that the bezel, obviously, on top of these optics, you know, this one's much thicker than the HoloSun is, right? So, and of course, you would think that would make it more durable. Of course, I've cracked one, but what I'm hoping is that overall, this ends up being a more durable optic, and that's why they kind of made the bezel bigger, and that kind of shrinks the window, because you can only make the bezel so big if you want it to fit in, say, a duty holster. And in this case, it absolutely does fit in a Safariland 6390 with 0 modifications very nicely. I'm pleased to support. The one holster compatibility issue that I found is that this nice big button on the side, which I like a lot to change the power, sometimes actually gets hit by the side of the holster there. I took this holster to a match and actually shot it with that. And sometimes when you draw the gun, it's a different brightness than you left it on, which is a little bit disappointing. I think we could probably modify that holster ever so slightly, though, to avoid that issue, so I'm not super concerned about it. And that's only going to be an issue if it's that holster. So aside from the windows, the controls are actually something that I like a lot. I really prefer an optic with big buttons up and down on the two sides of the optics that you can control really easily, and it's easy to remember which one is which, and you can grab them. If you draw out the holster and look at it, you're like, oh, I need to actually dial that up a little bit. You can make that adjustment pretty quick and easy. This is one of the things I like, for example, about the SROs. It's one of the things I don't like about the Holosun 507 Comp. It's got these two little tiny buttons there on the side that are kind of difficult to hit, and they're on the same side, so it's difficult to remember which one is which, and you kind of have to fiddle with them. I really like the controls on this a lot. It's got a top-loaded battery, which is cool. It kind of has the SRO thing where it's hidden. The screw is hidden underneath the shroud, but Vortex actually thought about that, and unlike Trijicon, they are providing a tool for that very purpose with the box, which is really cool. It lets you reach in here and actually undo the battery cap really easily with this little wrench. I'm going to be using this moving forward on my SROs, and so even if you're an SRO guy, you probably should find a way to get a hold of one of these, because that makes life so much easier. The way it's hidden under that bezel makes it almost impossible to kind of hit it with a screwdriver, and so this is very cool, and I like the fact that Vortex thought about that. They're also including, by the way, screws for all the things. They're actually including some adapter plates as well as actually I think a rifle mount as well. All going to be in the box. Now I'll be honest, I didn't mess with the Vortex plates. I just threw a good old forward controls plate on my MOS, and that's what I'm using. It's perfectly compatible with the forward controls Delta Point Pro plate. The optic is Delta Point Pro footprint, which is a bummer for those of us that have direct mount, direct mill RMR footprint guns. As an example, all of my ZEV guns. So I couldn't actually put this on any of those guns. I had to put it on MOS. So if you've got, though, any sort of plate system guns, it'll work great for you. Or if you've got guns that are direct milled with Delta Point Pro, it should work just fine. And a matter of fact, I'm hoping this is going to be a good upgrade for all the guys that have those kind of legacy guns with the Delta Point Pro footprints. Hopefully this will be a good upgrade. Again, we'll have to kind of see how it goes once this thing actually gets released. The adjustments on it are great. Great tactile adjustments on the zeros. It's zeroed in really, really well, consistently, nice and easy. No complaints there whatsoever. Battery life is supposed to be really good as well. They're quoting, well over like 2 years now. The guys that I know have been changing them like every 6 months just to do it, and have had no issues with that. So I think if you change it probably every 6 months to a year, you'll be in really good shape. Options, 3 MOA or 6 MOA dots, no multi-reticle system, anything like that, which is fine. I think that's all we should really be using on these things anyway. I personally like an even smaller dot than that, but the 3 MOA has been perfectly fine for me, and it's been a great optic. Again, other than that one that I unfortunately broke, I've enjoyed using this quite a bit. So again, just kind of wrap it up. Overall impressions: it's a dot. You can put it on your gun. It works great. I've had no issues with it in terms of performance, features. All that's been great, other than of course the one that I actually broke. Great quality glass. Personally, I wish the window was a little bit bigger. I'm a big window guy personally, but for a duty optic, it's a very usable size window, a little bit bigger than the RMR, and so I appreciate that. It worked really good. Glass is great, dot's nice and clean. Everything about this optic, I think, is good to go. It also, by the way, runs that 2032 battery. One of the things I don't love about the Holosun is that it's got that kind of small tray there on the side, and it runs that reduced size battery. This one actually runs a 2032, so standardized battery, good battery life, good to go. So I'm excited to get this optic out in the world and see how it holds up. I'm going to be running this one hard and see if it does the same thing or not, but I'm cautiously optimistic, guys. What I'm hoping is this is supposed to be very competitively priced. We'll see tomorrow what it's actually available for from dealers and that kind of thing. What I'm hoping is that this is going to be priced in such a way that it's going to be the best optic for the money. And so if you're looking for a budget optic, this will be a better look than a Bushnell or even the current Vortex optics that are on the market. I think it'll kind of be in that price point. And so A, I think it'll be a really good option for the money, hopefully. And then B, maybe we'll see it kind of drag the pricing down on some of those other options that are on the market. I think that would be really cool to see as well. But anyway, guys, that's about what I've got on the new Vortex Defender ST. If you have any questions or anything you're wondering about that I have not hit so far, definitely feel free to drop that in the comment section down below. I'll try to answer any of those questions. I'll be dropping some videos on social media and so forth as well, so make sure to check out SpecTrain_NC on Instagram and for more information or follow-up videos and that kind of thing. And I'll be reporting there how this one holds up as well. Hopefully, all good news. And again, I'm really, really hoping, that this one, I almost dropped it. Broke it even worse. That would have been great. This one was just a fluke. I'm going to be sending this one back for them to have a look at, and hopefully they'll have some idea of what the issue is. And again, if I find any of that out, I'll be reporting it to you over on social media. But anyway, guys, that's what I've got. Until next time, thanks for watching.